kidding you. We went 20 laps in this race, and I'll bet you 15 of those laps, those two drivers were side by side, not giving an inch. I mean, literally side by side for, I'm going to say 12 to 15 laps, and they race each other as hard as you can possibly race each other without wrecking. I mean, respect. The speed was there, the competition, and the guys behind them, the rest of the field behind these guys had to be thinking, what do we got to do to get by these guys to catch Thompson? Let me tell you something right now. It didn't matter who got by these guys. They weren't catching that 44T car. Thompson had checked out. He was out of here like last year, baby. I mean, he was gone. The 44T was, I mean, perfect. The crew, Norm Davis, all those guys out of that stables, they nailed the setup. Thompson made it look easy, and this is a big win. Here's a guy who's been racing cars 4 years.
Right.
I mean, he'd never driven a race car until 4 years ago, and he's got a Strawberry Cup on his resume.
See, that is so cool. I mean, to see something like that and to have the privilege to, I mean, one, to qualify for the Strawberry Cup and to be there, that's a huge, huge thing. It's such tradition to be able to have that, on your resume and say, hey, man, I was at Willamette Speedway, on such and such a day and won the Strawberry Cup in my class. That's a stride, man. That's something to be very, very proud of, because the top of the guys in the Northwest and stuff are going to be down there for that.
The best of the best. It's one of the biggest shows in the Northwest, and that's a great win for Brian. I'll tell you right now, he was happy. And the whole crew down there with some celebration, a lot of pictures with the big check, crew members, family, friends. It was a neat deal to see, somebody enjoy that win so much.
Right.
And they really did. I mean, they did not take it for granted. It was. Brian's not one of those guys that comes to the racetrack expecting to win. He expects to be competitive, holds himself to a competitive level, and he was hands down the class of the field. Okay, from there we went into the modified division. In the modifieds, I want to tell you, 21 modifieds signed in.
Wow.
21. So we had a full field, okay? Heat number 1, and there was a little bit of some razz. This guy caught a little bit of some heat on Facebook. He actually went on and said, hey, where should I go? Southern Oregon Speedway, Cottage Grove.
Oh.
I threw it out there. I don't want to say I called him out, but I called him out. And you go look at his page, and Mark Waggy, he showed up.
The thing is, because you sat there and said, hey, why don't you come up to Willamette Speedway?
Right.
For the Strawberry Cup.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He says, well, it's so far to travel, and
listen,
the way IMCA lines people up, and I get that. I understand all that, and I can appreciate that opinion. So he shows up. And we know Mark. It doesn't matter what racetrack he goes to. Mark is competitive.
Oh, very, very competitive.
He's one of those guys.
Look how fast the stuff he was over there at Madras.
Right. He's in the upper echelon when it comes to the modified ranks. I won't say just in the West Coast. I mean, in the Northwest, but on the West Coast as well. He is very, very fast, very, very competitive. Great equipment, quality driver. He won heat race number 1 over Gray Ferrando. Kevin Roberts was 3rd. Preston Luckman.
Gray Fernando was 2nd?
Was 2nd.
Now, I'll tell you what. Now, that's been a guy that's had some bad luck during this year.
He has.
He's bought this car. He's spent a ton of money, his thing, and because he works side by side with Colin, and working side by side with Colin Weinbarger on the Superman car, that there is a learning curve all alone, because he's definitely a great teacher. And he said, he says, I can't teach somebody to go fast, but I can teach somebody to settle down.
Well, and that's the thing. Settling down, you're stepping up to the modifieds. That's
right.
From where he's coming from, that's a big step. Quality
but
equipment.
He's got great equipment.
That's it. He's got good equipment, and now he's got some horsepower, and now he's got some knowledge behind him, and he's getting fast.
He's getting fast, absolutely.
And he'll be there.
Well, and he knows too. I mean, he's one of the drivers and stuff. Is like when you get out there and when people start using other people's pinballs, and here last a couple weeks ago or whatever, that's what they did to him. He got squirrely coming out of turn 4, right, and he got hit by 3 or 4 guys. That would upset me too if I'm being used as a pinball down the front stretch. I mean, hey, I'm trying to hold my line, I'm trying to do what I can or whatever, and then all of a sudden, I get loose. Okay, I understand you guys are fast, but you guys gotta let me, if I'm gonna slow down to let you pass, let me.
It's 3 wide racing,
man. I'll tell you what,
it's checkers or wreckers, baby.
It's been one of those deals and stuff. Is that he's, it's gonna be a learning curve. He's gonna get nothing but better.
You step up the way he has, that's a big jump.
Right.
So he finished 2nd. Kevin Roberts was 3rd. Preston Luckman jumped into the modified. He was 4th. Ron Berry and Ethan Landers was heat number 2. And in heat 3, now listen, Mark Waggy won that heat race by 2.29 seconds.
Right.
So he had a pretty good lead. He was there in the setup. Heat race number 3. Listen to the names in this heat race.
Oh, I don't like the guy who won
Okay.
this.
This is the winner of heat race
I'm
3.
actually talking to Joel right now.
The heat race of number 3 was Matthew Drager,
That's awesome, man. For
Jeremy
those
Shank, Kyle Yak, Sam
guys.
Potter,
What?
Lightning John Campos, Justin Dittman, and Tim Archer.
That is the top 7 fastest guys. in the
No,
Northwest.
that was just heat race.
Oh my.
Okay, that was modified heat race number 3. Drager won it. Okay, by a little over half a second over Jeremy Shank.
Wow.
Now we know Jeremy Shank, who coming into this race has 2 modified victories at the
Right.
Strawberry Cup.
Right.
Okay,
He knows what it takes to win.
he does, and everybody knows. And this is the thing: you talk about Jeremy. I don't care if you race against him or in his field, or if you race another class and you watch Jeremy. I don't know anybody that won't agree that he's probably the smoothest driver
I was just gonna say
in
that.
the Northwest.
Yep.
I mean, there's a guy that, he's as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. This guy, and that's where he gets his respect. He's fast. He's smooth. You don't see Jeremy wreck cars. You don't see Jeremy wreck other cars.
Right.
He's just one of those guys. He's a class act. And Matthew Drager, okay, Matthew Drager and Joel and these guys talk about somebody that's doing their homework. They've got these GRT cars. Okay,
Dialed
these
in.
guys, yeah, they're dialed all right, because when we went into the feature, okay, I want to talk about that because this was a great moment.
21.
21
Cars.
modifieds started that field.
Jeez.
30 laps was the distance, and Drager picks up the win. Now listen, we've talked about some names here. Matthew Drager won that race. Okay. Dustin Cady, former champ,
Right.
second. GRT's first and second. Okay. Those are teammate cars.
Huh.
All right. Third place was Mark Waggy.
Of course you
Should I not go? Okay. He makes top 3. Heck of a run. Weinbarger was 4th, and Craig Hansen was 5th. Okay. That's a tough top 5. Now, the thing about this race, watching it, Matthew Drager went to work, got the lead, got by Weinbarger for the lead, okay, and was a master. Okay, it was an absolute master on the restarts, because the restarts is what cost a couple guys some Strawberry Cups last weekend. Matthew got to the point, knew what he had to do to hold on to the lead on the restarts, and did it. The racetrack in the late stages for the modifieds, when I say was on the bottom, I mean it was on the bottom. These guys have got half the car up on the berm, loading the right
Are you
rear.
serious?
I'm telling you, the tack line on the bottom of the racetrack was about a car width wide. Okay, these guys coming through turns 3 and 4, the guys that were fast on the bottom,
Right.
were single file, sideways, up on the berm, right rear tire loaded, sliding. I mean, I'm talking 75% of the car is up on the berm.
God, that'd be
Sandy and I-
awesome.
Sandy and I got on the quad after the race, and we kind of drove through turns 3 and 4 where
Right.
the mods were running, and it was brushed clean. There was no transition from the berm to the track. It was just smooth.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just smooth. But to watch Matthew Drager pick up that win for his first feature, and it's a Strawberry Cup, you kidding me? That is a big, big moment in any race driver's career. It was just a cool thing to watch, and to see Dustin Cady, who pressured him. Those two guys, teammate cars. Dustin, a quality driver, is just as fast as he can get modified. You know what I mean?
Right.
For second, Waggy, Weinbarger, Hansen. Then listen to the guys behind him, okay? Behind the top 4, Campos, Shank, Bishop, Ferrando was 9th, and Jerry Schwartz. If you look at the field, McCombs was 13th, Potter was 14th. These guys had some bad luck and still ended up with pretty decent finishes. And then Tyler Walker came down from Grays Harbor, out of the Elma area in the 87. He was
Right.
16th. Kyle Yak had a bad night, had a little bit of an issue, and finished 17th. Justin Dittman in the 6M was way back in 18th, and Kevin Roberts.
That's not like
Was
Dippin to be way
19th.
back there like
Well,
that.
that's what I'm saying. You look at Yak, Dittman, and Roberts, quality drivers who've been fast.
Mhm.
It
Well,
takes
Kyle Yak went up at Sunset here a week or so ago.
it takes some luck at Strawberry Cup, and you better have your A game, and the 21A brought it. I mean, they picked up the win. Huge, huge deal. 1.01 second was a margin of victory.
Wow.
I mean, it was, and those guys were, I mean, when they came across the line behind Matthew, if Matthew could watch what was going on behind him, I mean, it was from second through about 8th. It was going to be anybody. I mean, it was going to be interesting to see how those guys crossed the line. So
That's awesome to see all that.
Huge win for RT machine.
Right.
Then we move into our super late models. Okay. Heat 1, Brian Smith. Brian brings out the 40. Here's the guy that drives. He was 2 weeks ago. He was in an asphalt car at Roseburg, the old timers deal.
Right.
He comes back to Willamette, brings out he calls it his bucket of bolts late model, and won heat race number 1 over Eric Luckman, Dave Schmidt, Todd Sieg, and Jared Bennett. Now, in heat 2.
Hold on, we're not even. I don't know what the fuck's going on, dude.
Okay. In heat 2, Dave Walters, that crate motor, held off Dan Dybel with the Ford Power, held off Terry Hall, Brady Sell, Mike George, and Trent Elliott. That's a pretty good heat race right there.
That's a huge race right there.
And Dave was fast. I mean, probably, I've watched Dave drive quite a bit. I would say this is one of the best performances in this particular heat race I'm talking about. Watching him drive, he was good. The car was smooth. It hooked up. It was fast. He could drive it anywhere he wanted. It looked really good. So, heat race 3, I want you to listen to this one. Brian Kronk, Bruce Hipple, Rob Maya, Randy Boyd, Tony Breakall, Rob Campos, and Ron Brewster. Bruce Hipple is one of those guys who he'll miss 95% of the races at Willamette Speedway. He's not a young buck.
Right.
He's had 40-plus years at Willamette racing, but there is one race that Bruce Hipple does not miss on the schedule,
and that's the Strawberry Cup.
He won this race back in 2005 in dramatic fashion, but he was second in this heat race to Brian Kronk. Now, Brian Kronk, we've watched him all year, and he has been absolutely fast. They've got this car set up. It's got the crate motor. He knows that when the track gets dry and the season comes around, and it's going to be to his advantage to have that motor.
Right.
He was, when I say fast, he won this heat race by over 4 seconds. Okay?
Wow, that's over.
Now remember,
that's a half a track right there.
Bruce Hipple and Rob Maya, Randy Boyd, and Breakall were behind him. Okay, he beat Bruce Hipple by over 4 seconds, and Maya was another 0.3 of a second behind Hipple. This was a fast track.
Fast car for
him.
It's
a fast track.
That just still amazes me on how, with so much sun, so hot, of everything it was, and to still have a track that's turning those type of laps and being that fast.
Right.
To me, as a shot guy, I'd be scratching my head going, well, what do we do? Well, I mean, where do we go with this?
Right. A lot of guys were scratching their head trying to figure out what was going on. How do we free this car up the turn? And it was an awesome deal. It's caught everybody off surprise. Now, Heat Race 4. Heat Race 4. Pay attention to the top 3 names in this, okay? This is the finishing order of Heat Race 4. Justin Duty, Colin Weinbarger, Joey Tanner, Jeremy Shank, Kai Frick, Darren Koppel, Steve Moore. Justin Duty has got that rocket chassis, that new rocket chassis. This car is fast. Now, they had a little bit of it, I don't want to say trouble, but they're figuring that race car out. As fast as it is, it's going to be faster, and that's a scary thought. He won that heat race over Weinbarger, Tanner, Shank, and Koffel, with Frick and Moore in there as well, by almost 4 seconds, 3.93 seconds. He had their attention. Okay, Justin Duty, we know Justin's going to be fast. Okay, now, in the B main, we took out of the B main.
Transferred 4?
We transferred 4. We locked in the first 14, okay? And I believe we did take 4. Dan Dybel won the B. Okay, and this is a guy we've talked about a couple times on the show.
That's weird to see him in the B feature, though.
Well, he's been fast. That's what I'm saying. He's been fast. We've talked about him, and he picked up the win over Walters, Brian Smith, and Brady Sell were your top 4 cars. Bennett's, Terry Hall, Todd Sieg, Eric Luckman, Dave Schmidt, Mike George. Mike George was fast, running in the front pack, but had a little bit of a bad luck, got turned around, and back of the pack. But Dybel, I was surprised, as fast as he's been all year, to see him in the B main.
Right.
My reaction was exactly.
That's just to me. I mean,
and
to hear him in a B main. I mean, mind you, win in the B main. I mean, that's where he should be. But I mean, that's just kind of something that you just don't hear from him.
Right. So he transferred up with some other guys, but now in the late model feature, okay. This was an awesome race. I mean, of course, it's your feature. It's a Strawberry Cup. Now, we did go on a time limit. We only got 33 of the 40 scheduled laps.